Want to make sure that you know about the dangers of corticosteroids. I'm sure you've heard about them before, maybe not the term corticosteroid, but they are very prevalent in being given out almost like candy in conventional medicine for any inflammatory-based disease. The problem is, I'm sure that your medical doctor has not shared with you all the potential consequences, especially if you take it for longer than 2 to 3 weeks. So let's go over that right now. This is actually a follow-up show to our one on antihistamines. That was episode 2930. That was 2 weeks ago, episode 2930. We'll link everything up here today. Don't worry about all the numbers. Just head on over to stephencabral.com/2944. Today's going to be the dangers of corticosteroids. This is important. Again, there's a time and place for everything. I totally get it. And sometimes we may need a corticosteroid. Very infrequently, but if it's life-saving, it's life-saving. I get it. We may need it. Okay, so here's what it is, though. These are literally steroids, but not the steroids that you're thinking about. They're the opposite of an anabolic steroid. So an anabolic steroid would be something like taking testosterone, right? Endogenous testosterone, that means from outside of our body, we're putting it in. Okay, so exogenous, I should say, outside of the body, endogenous, inside the body. So what we want to look at, though, is this is the opposite. So instead of a sex hormone like testosterone, this is cortisol. This is a corticosteroid, something that would naturally be produced by the adrenals as a natural anti-inflammatory that's used for skin rashes, irritable bowel disease, asthma, really severe allergies, autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, etc. So they'll put people on a massive anti-inflammatory, a corticosteroid. Other names for those, there's 3 main ones. There's cortisone, there is hydrocortisone, and then there's prednisone. Okay, so those are the most common. There are other names, though, as well. You're certainly able to look all of those up because there's also a lot of generics. But if you're taking a corticosteroid, you'll be able to share that. Your doctor will share that with you. Now, you can take them orally, you can take them intravenously, you can take them as an inhaler, or you can take them as a cream. The cream is going to be a little less potent. The IV, obviously the strongest, going right into the body, bypassing the liver, which you would have to pass if you're doing oral corticosteroid, which that's for the most part people are, or there's the inhaler that's fast acting for something like asthma. Okay, so that is basically what a corticosteroid is. We know that we use it for any inflammatory issue, the skin rashes, the digestive issues, it can be used for a lot of things, but rheumatoid arthritis, all autoimmune conditions, asthma, and really severe allergies. So here's the issue, though. Our body will naturally produce it unless you have Addisons disease like I did, which is horrible, right? So I was basically on the opposite of that, and I had flu-like symptoms all the time. So if you want to know what it feels like to have Addisons disease, it's like having the flu. So your legs feel weak and tired and ache. Your body is weak. There's no stamina, hard to go up the stairs, even hard to breathe, hard to fall asleep, but also you feel like you're never awake. It's absolutely miserable. And so what they do is they put you on Cortef, which is basically a little bit of cortisol. And then a lot of people also have POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, if they have adrenal issues, because they typically can't regulate another hormone called aldosterone. And aldosterone helps keep sodium levels balanced, so you can actually keep your blood pressure up. So typically you're giving Florinef or another drug to help keep your salt levels up or your sodium levels up and balance your blood pressure at least. So it's an absolutely miserable disease. Luckily, like I said, I don't have any more rheumatoid arthritis. I have no more type 2 diabetes, no more Addison's disease, no more seasonal allergies, no more asthma, none of that. And the nice thing is I was able to fix it naturally. We'll get there. We'll talk about that. Many, many shows on this. My book, The Rain Barrel Effect, talks about how to fix all of these dis-eases of the body through a very systematic fashion. We're not talking about working miracles. What we're talking about is finding a program and protocol that works for you, right? And that's ultimately what we all need. Here's the dangers, though, before I don't want to get away from this. The actual dangers of corticosteroids, and these are well known. Think about this. If you're producing a lot of stress hormone, because that's what cortisol is, right? So if we're producing a lot of this cortisol, a lot of this anti-inflammatory, what then is going to happen in the body? Remember, it's the opposite of an anabolic steroid. Anabolic means we get built up, builds our body up. Catabolic means that our body gets broken down. So think about that. If you're breaking down, becoming more catabolic, what might happen to the body? Well, there's going to be bone loss. There's going to be muscle loss. There's going to be issues with cognition and the brain and the myelin sheath of the nervous system. There's going to be issues with elevated levels of blood sugar. A corticosteroid can raise blood sugar levels without you eating any processed foods, etc. It's going to lead to mood issues like irritability, overwhelm, and anxiety. And if it long enough and on it long enough, potentially depression. It can lead to hair loss or hair thinning, drying out of the skin, thinning of the skin, brittle nails, advanced and rapid aging. Also, anytime we are in more of a higher stress state, it affects our vision and our hearing. That is what a lot of people overlook. When you are stressed and there is inflammation, there is also strain and capillary damage to the small blood supply to the eyes, the ocular region. This is extremely important because if you're dealing with a lot of eye strain, floaters, etc., you're probably going to want to run a lab that I'm going to share with you in just a moment, and you run it right at home. This is extremely important. When you are taking a corticosteroid, you're also in fight or flight. It induces flight or flight. It pushes you into the sympathetic nervous system. So when you're in the sympathetic nervous system, what's not working? Digestion. You weaken digestion. So then you're causing poor peristalsis, or meaning like the food doesn't move down your esophagus as well. It doesn't move through your stomach as well, or your intestines. So it can lead to fermentation, bloating, gas, loose stool mixed with constipation. It's not ideal. Then it also leads to poor nutrient absorption and potentially acid reflux. This is a problem. But think about it this way. If you're always in fight or flight now, and you're not getting the nutrients you need, what may happen to your sleep? Do you see how there's a domino effect? Heightened state, weakening then and throwing off your hormones, deteriorating your body because of lack of nutrients, imbalancing your blood sugar, and now pushing off your sleep. So now you are essentially tired and wired. You're exhausted because you're not sleeping. You're exhausted because you're not getting the nutrients you need. You're overwhelmed, you're anxious, yet you can't sleep. This is what it is like being in a hyper vigilant and stressed state. We probably all experienced that at some point, but being on corticosteroids mimics that. This is why the drug is not supposed to be used for more than 2 to 3 weeks maximum. I'll do another show on the dangers of proton pump inhibitors and what we might call acid blockers, but that's for another show. Today, you have to understand is there's a reason why the labels for a acid blocker or corticosteroid say don't use for more than 2 to 3 weeks. Because it begins, yes, it helps as an anti-inflammatory, but your body then begins to break down on the back end. So sure, it might relieve some pain, no doubt about it. I'm not denying that. But think about all the damage that it's causing. And I'm not one to spread fear, but I do want to spread the facts, and I do want to spread the truth about what these pharmaceutical drugs are doing. So am I saying you should just stop all of your corticosteroids? No. What I'm saying is that eventually you may want to work with your medical doctor to begin to wean down, because you shouldn't usually stop cold turkey if you've been on them for a long period of time. But again, I can't give you medical advice on that. And I would begin to look at what are the underlying root causes that cause the skin rashes, the migraines, allergies, asthma, or autoimmune issues in the first place. And personally, I would always look at least 2 places. One is the gut and digestive system. Is there yeast overgrowth? Is there bacterial overgrowth? Is there H. pylori? Or is there parasites? The other, if you're on a corticosteroid, most likely you have leaky gut. Because when you pump out that much cortisol, you can cause intestinal permeability, increased intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut. And I would also look at imbalance in hormones. Now, the problem is this. When you're on a corticosteroid, it's going to throw off your hormone levels. It's most likely in a female, it's going to plummet their progesterone, potentially increase their testosterone, plummet their DHEA, and throw their cortisol through the roof. Now, when you come off of it, you may feel an absolute rebound effect or worse, because now you're not producing your own cortisol. This is why conventional medicine can be very short-sighted. What is the plan? Like, what's the plan here? Okay, we're going to go on this very powerful anti-inflammatory, but then what's the plan after 2 to 3 weeks? Oh, you just let people then deteriorate after that and feel terrible, or put them on another handful of drugs? It's not the answer. So what I want to share with you here today is that there's always an answer. Conventional medicine can be the answer in the short term to save your life. If you need to take an antibiotic, you take an antibiotic to save your life. If you need to take a prednisone or corticosteroid to save your life, like you're having an asthma attack, you might take a corticosteroid. You might take an inhaler. That might be a very smart thing to do, right? You do things in the moment to save your life. But then remember, it's never going to replace finding the underlying root cause. And the only way you find the underlying root cause is you go beyond blood work. Blood work is great, but unless you're really sick, really pushed off, it's not going to show much. And even then, it's not going to show the underlying root cause. So we recommend usually starting with something called like the starter kit. It's simple, it's easy to run. Shows you your gut health, your vitamin levels, your mineral levels, and your heavy metals. Because heavy metals can cause all the things that I just spoke about. Allergies, asthma, learning disabilities, which we didn't talk about for the corticosteroids because it's not used for that, autoimmune issues, and the skin rashes. So really important that we look at that. And again, gut health, heavy metals, so we get some toxicities there, and we have deficiencies, vitamins and minerals. Now, you can run the whole big five. I'll link to those in the show notes, but the starter kit is most likely the right place for both children and adults to start. Easy, simple, to the point, and you get something that's bio-individualized for you, meaning like not for your friend or your neighbor or your colleague. This is what you need for your specific body. And you get the plan that goes with it. So you can work with an integrative health practitioner literally anywhere in the world by going to integrativehealthpractitioner.org. Just click on the practitioners. Or you can work with myself and my team just by going to stevencabral.com/starter-kit. Again, work with whoever you want to work with, but the goal is this: peel back the onion. Don't work and don't go for like the easy fix. It's never going to work in the long run. It's not. Do what you need to do to make sure that you can fight again another day. But work on finding the true imbalances as to why you're not as healthy as you could be. Hopefully this was helpful. I'd love to be able to do a side effect, I should say a follow-up on these different side effects if you need that information on any other drug. So just feel free to write in. Leave it in the comments below. I've already gotten a request for acid blockers and their potential side effects, such as the irritation that can happen in the esophagus, even if you're blocking all of the acid. So I'll do a follow-up on that, but if there's any others, just let me know. And I will give you the unbiased look as to what the side effects could be, but also how to get to that underlying root cause of what it may be. Thanks so much for tuning in. All of the links will be at stevencabral.com/2944. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.